The second facet of the lie, and you've heard this before, if you haven't thought this before, the second facet of the lie that's a little more subtle is, it doesn't hurt anything else to live like my desires are most significant to me. What does it hurt? As long as nobody else physically gets hurt, it doesn't matter. Nothing gets damaged if I just go and seek my greatest good for me. Second facet of the lie. And so tonight I want to introduce you to two guys. One guy you may not have heard of. One guy I think most of you in here will have heard of. The guy I want to introduce you to first is a man named Solomon. Solomon was one of the kings of Israel in the Old Testament. Solomon was a man blessed by God to be the wisest and smartest man in all the world. God came to Solomon when he first became king, and he said to him, Solomon, what would you like? I will grant to you one request. And Solomon had a really good request. It was a great idea. He said, God, would you make me wise? Because I'm a king now, and I want to be a good king. So make me wise. And God said, that is a great request. And he blessed Solomon with wisdom, intelligence, discernment in order to rule over these people in a good and righteous way. And God followed up and said, Solomon, that request was so fantastic that not only am I going to give you wisdom, but I'm also going to give you riches, material riches, physical blessings. And so Solomon became not only the richest man of that time in the known world, or not only the wisest, but also the wealthiest. And people traveled, the queen of Egypt traveled to see Solomon in his splendor. And dignitaries from other nations traveled in to see Solomon in all his splendor. Now Solomon, with all this wisdom, was also a philosophical kind of guy. He would think and contemplate deeply. And we have some of his contemplations in the Bible in the book of Ecclesiastes. Strange name, even stranger writing in this book. But if you have your Bible tonight, I invite you to turn to the book of Ecclesiastes, which Solomon wrote as some of his philosophical musings on the meaning of life. The meaning of what is valuable, the meaning of why do I love what I love, and what is this earth holding out for me to pursue for significance. Ecclesiastes follows the book of Psalms, Proverbs, then Ecclesiastes. So if you're in the middle of your Bible, you find the big book of Psalms, medium book of Proverbs, little book of Ecclesiastes. Now what he does in Ecclesiastes 2 is absolutely one of the most amazing tests in the history of mankind. Solomon says, I'm going to do an experiment. I'm the richest man in the world. I'm the smartest man in the world. All the people in the world and the people in my nation revere me. They respect me. They think I am wow. So he said, I'm going to do an experiment for myself. Let's see, what do we have here on the first slide? Solomon's test of self-indulgence. That's what he does. Solomon says, I'm going to do an experiment. I have all the money in the world. I have all the power that one could possibly want. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if everything this world has to offer will bring me pleasure and delight. He has all the means for it, and he records for us his experiment in Ecclesiastes 2. Read with me, if you will, Ecclesiastes 2, verse 1. I said in my heart, this is him writing this memoir, I said in my heart, come now, heart, I will test you with pleasure. Would that be a test you'd like to take? I wish they had that. Pleasure 305 at University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point. Yes, that'd be the greatest attended class ever, right? Pleasure class. Come now, heart, I will test you with pleasure. Enjoy yourself. So that's the thesis of the test. Come on, heart, we're going to go. We're going to get everything that the world has to offer, and we're going to see what happens. His test of self-indulgence. Now, drop down with me to verse 3, where he tells us what he does for his days in class in the test of self-indulgence. Verse 3, I searched with my heart how to cheer my body with wine. So test number 1, I'm going to go see how happy happy, alcohol will make me. That's the first thing we have here on the slide. I'm going to go see, hey, heart, let's go see how happy wine will make me. Let's continue to read. My heart was still guiding me with wisdom and how to lay hold on folly, till I might see what was good for the children of man to do under heaven during the few days of their lives. That's why he's doing the test. He wants to see what is worth doing while he's alive. He wants to do this test and pass it on. What's worth doing? Verse 4. After he did his drunkenness test, his partying test, verse 4 said, next, I made great works. I built houses and planted vineyards for myself. For myself. I made gardens and parks and planted in them all kinds of fruit trees. I made myself pools from which to water the forest of growing trees. So test number 2 in the test of self-indulgence was great works. I'm going to build, I'm going to put to work the workmen of Israel, the architects of Israel, and they're going to build whatever I want. Beautiful pools, beautiful gardens, plant what I want, I eat what I want, look at what I can make. Whoa! Verse 7, next part of the test. I bought male and female slaves and had slaves who were born in my house. I had also great possessions of herds and flocks, more than any who had gone before me in Jerusalem. I had more. Do you hear that? Listen to this again. I had more than any who had been before me in Jerusalem. I had more. I had it all. I had it all. So, next we see that his test was involving buying slaves, which was, I had control over people. They were at my beck and command. Nobody was going to abuse me. Nobody was going to overrule me. Nobody was going to get in my way. I was going to have control of people. And then the next thing we read was that he had great possessions. And he goes on to say, I had great possessions, herds and flocks. I also gathered for myself silver and gold and the treasure of kings and provinces. So he said, I own it all. The treasures of other kings, the treasures of other lands. I got it. I took it. I could spend and it would never run out. Money. The root of my joy will be money. Look, I've got partying, I'm building whatever I like, and look at me, I've got the attention of others, I've got control of people, and I can command them, I've got great possessions, and the final test. I got singers, both men and women, and many concubines. The delight of the children of man. So the last thing that his last test in the test of delight was, I got sex. I just got it. I got concubines. The delight of the children of man. I want it. I want you. I want you now. Let's go. And it was in this era, it was the king's right. Nobody burped. Nobody argued. He's the king. It's his right. The leader. So look at this list that he's tested himself with, and maybe if this was what the class syllabus looked like, there'd be many of you clamoring for pleasure 305 at the University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point. Drunkenness, that's on the syllabus? Yeah! Build cool stuff, or have the ability to order others to build whatever I like, the house I want, the street I want, the city I want, the pool I want. Yeah! People under my control, so nobody's coming in, messing me up anymore. I'm just above, doing my thing. And money, 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 I've got it. I can have what I want, when I want it. And sex, free, come on, bring it on, get it on. What a test. All of this was the philosopher's test. So here's what verse 9 says. So I became great. This is kind of the conclusion he's drawing now. I became great and surpassed all who were before me in Jerusalem, and my wisdom remained with me. So he's saying, I didn't become an idiot. My wisdom stayed so that I could think and discern through this stuff. if this was really satisfying. Verse 10, listen carefully. Whatever my eyes desired, I did not keep from them. I kept my heart from no pleasure. For my heart found pleasure in all my efforts. And this was my reward for all my efforts. All my efforts means I get what I want. I go after whatever it is that I want. And I don't know if your list would look like Solomon's list, but his effort was to say, I'm going after whatever it is that I think is going to satisfy me. And we all in this room have that list. We all have that list that we can write out. What would satisfy me most? What would make me most happy? And so here's the conclusion. Go ahead. The summary sentence, I just read it. Whatever my eyes desired, I did not keep from them. If I saw it, I got it immediately. And I kept my heart from no pleasure. What a test. What a test. What a test. I have the world in my palm, and I'm exploring self-focused passion. What do you love? What do you love? What would you get? What would you take? Who would you be if you could do whatever you wanted? Who would you become? Solomon says, I did it. I did it. Now, let's read his conclusion. The philosopher, theologian, wise man's conclusion to the test. He did it all, and now here's what he writes. Verse 11. Then I considered all that I had done with my hands, and the work, the effort I had expended in doing it. Okay, I'm thinking about it. I'm asking myself, okay, heart, when you got whatever I wanted, heart, how did you feel? Heart, how satisfied were you? Here's what he says. Behold, all of it was vanity and a striving after the wind, and there was nothing to be gained under the sun.